and welcome to another episode of The Royal Record here on GB News. I'm Cameron Walker, GB News' Royal Correspondent.
And I'm Svar Nanan-Sen, Royal Editor of gbnews.com. Coming up, we'll be taking a look at Prince Harry's upcoming visit to the UK and why Meghan Markle won't be joining him.
And the Princess of Wales, she has carried out her first official meeting recorded in the court circular since completing her preventative chemotherapy. We'll be talking about that, plus another headache for Prince Andrew, as his now infamous interview with Emily Maitlis on BBC's Newsnight is being dramatised in a new programme for Amazon Prime. So it's been announced that Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, is returning to the United Kingdom on the 30th of September to attend the Well Child Awards. He's been patron of the UK charity for more than a decade now, actually, I think around 16 years, which looks after or promotes seriously ill children in the United Kingdom. And the Well Child Awards, Prince Harry has been to for kind of 12 years or so, and celebrating, I suppose, their achievements and their resilience in the face of all of their struggles. And Prince Harry has said in a statement that I once again am honoured to attend this year's Well Child Awards, celebrating the remarkable courage and achievements of children living with complex medical needs. These incredible young people, along with dedicated caregivers, nurses and professionals who tirelessly support them, inspire us all. It is a true privilege to recognise such extraordinary individuals. And Svar, very admirable, of course, that he's going to these awards, but big question mark over whether this is going to be a quick in and out trip for Prince Harry, so back into the UK, then straight back to California, or if he'll spend longer here.
Soft cinematic music swells. In the world of royal politics, timing is everything. And once again, Meghan Markle's timing couldn't be more controversial. Pause for effect. As Prince Harry prepares for what's being described as a sensitive and emotional return to the UK, Meghan has made her move, and it's not what the palace expected. Sources close to the Duchess suggest she'll be deliberately skipping not one, but two key events in Britain. The first, Harry's reunion with his father, King Charles. The second, a high-profile charity event once close to the Sussexes' hearts. Critics are calling it a double snub, a calculated move to distance herself from the royal family at a time when Harry seems to be seeking reconciliation. For Meghan, it's a message loud and clear. The past is not forgotten, and forgiveness may still be out of reach. Meanwhile, Prince Harry prepares to return home alone. His trip, meant to mend old wounds, now risks reopening them. Even those closest to him admit, the shadow of past decisions still looms large. Social media has erupted with speculation. Supporters defend Meghan's choice as one of independence. Critics, they see it as another chapter in her ongoing rejection of royal life. Either way, the divide has never felt deeper. As Harry's plane touches down on British soil, one truth remains clear. Reconciliation will not come easily. And as long as Meghan Markle stands her ground, the royal family's divide may remain unhealed. Pause. Two worlds, one marriage, and a rift that refuses to fade.
Yeah, it's an opportunity for him to see his family. We know he hasn't seen King Charles since February, so that could be something that he's keen to explore. I doubt he'll see William. They obviously came face to face at their uncle's funeral last month and chose not to speak to each other, according to eyewitnesses. But it's interesting. Last year, he came back for the Well Child Awards on September 7th. He spent just a night in the UK and then immediately flew to Germany for the Invictus Games. And Meghan Markle chose not to accompany Harry to the UK, but then made the flight across to Europe anyway and flew to the Invictus Games 2 days later. And it was seen at the time as a snub. Meghan's not expected to join him on his trip to the UK this year for the Well Child Awards, but we may see Harry stick around for more than just a couple of days.
And you say last year it was seen as a snub that Meghan didn't attend the Well Child Awards or be in the UK, and perhaps Prince Harry has shined a little bit more of a light as to why that decision was taken last year and presumably this year as well, because Meghan has not been mentioned in any of the official details we've got. And Prince Harry told a documentary, an ITV documentary last month, that he will not bring Meghan to the UK or indeed his children because he feels he cannot guarantee their safety. Of course, he's still got a huge hoo-ha over his security arrangements here in the United Kingdom, and we think he's going to appeal the High Court's decision, which agreed with the Home Office that they could downgrade his security effectively when he stood back back as a working member of the royal family. Prince Harry has to give 28 days notice to the Home Office before he returns to the United Kingdom in order for them to provide him with the police protection necessary to keep him safe. So presumably that is what has happened here in this instance. But according to Prince Harry, or it appears that that's not enough for to keep Meghan and his children safe. He's prepared to take the risk, but not for Meghan and the children.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see where Harry stays. We've seen him stay at hotel rooms. In last month, he stayed with Diana's family, Diana's brother, on their estate. So, and there's also been offers from the king for him to stay at a room in one of the royal residences. So he's going to have options as to where he stays, and it may be down to what's convenient for him or where he feels safest.
Yeah, and I think it will be very important for Prince Harry to come back here to the United Kingdom to attend the Well Child Awards. It's a charity he really cares deeply, passionately for. If that was make sense. I'm not sure if that sentence made sense, but you know what I mean. He passionately cares about this charity. It's one of the few remaining charities in the United Kingdom that he has a link to, and of course he's got the Invictus Games as well. So I'm getting the sense that Prince Harry wants to focus a lot more perhaps on his charity work rather than what we have seen over the last few years, which is him complaining about his life as a working royal. And we have a GB News membership poll, don't we, talking about Prince Harry?
Yes, so we asked our members. It actually came off the back of the royal family's decision to wish Harry a happy birthday on Sunday. So it was Harry's 40th birthday. The royal family does not wish happy birthday to non-working royals unless it is a milestone birthday, but because it was his 40th birthday, they did so. They did a similar message to Meghan Markle when she turned 40 in 2021, despite the fact she wasn't a working member of the royal family. And then following the royal family's message, a similar message was then posted on William and Catherine's official social media account, also wishing Harry a happy birthday. So we asked our members, were the royal family right to publicly wish Prince Harry a happy birthday? Now, this has completely split our members. 49% said yes and 49% said no, with 2% saying that they did not know. So it's deadlock in terms of what the GB News members think. Cameron, what do you think about that?
Well, I feel like if we did that poll a year ago, it wouldn't be quite so split. I would suggest that our members would say they weren't right to wish Prince Harry a happy birthday, but clearly it is now more almost 50-50, isn't it? Look, Prince Harry still a member of the royal family, whether or not, even though he's not a working member of the royal family. As you say, it's a milestone birthday, which is why they posted it. In terms of the narrative that it's a bit of an olive branch from Prince William and Catherine to Prince Harry, or indeed from the King to Prince Harry, I'm more cautious on that. The reason being is that it's just kind of custom, isn't it, that they would post for a milestone birthday. You said the same thing happened with Meghan in 2021. But having said that, I don't see a situation where either the Prince and Princess of Wales's team or the King's team at Buckingham Palace would post a happy birthday message to Prince Harry that is public on social media without their permission. So they clearly aren't so angry or have so much hate for Prince Harry that they don't want any public message of support going to him. So I suppose never say never, but it's still a very tricky situation, isn't it?
And on that, we know that William and Catherine choose to put their initials at the end of a message when it's personally written by them. So the fact that they chose not to do that on this, was that them distancing themselves from the message? Like, their team has said happy birthday to Harry, and they will obviously been consulted about that, but the lack of initial on the message takes that personal element away from it.
And we also don't know if in private either William or the King reached out to Harry on his birthday to speak to him in private, both sides keeping quite tight-lipped. And I remember a time only a couple of years ago where you would perhaps have a leak from someone close to the Sussexes who would declare that yes, the King has spoken to either his father or his brother, for example, and we've had nothing. It's complete silence from Team Sussex. And that raises the wider point of, is this a scenario or a situation where Prince Harry's really trying to prove to his family that he can be trusted to keep private conversations private following the fallout of Spare and the Netflix series and all the rest of it. Is this the start of a new Prince Harry and indeed Meghan trying to not toe the palace line, but, keeping secrets or private conversations private in order to perhaps reconcile or start to reconcile?
Yeah, I think if it is the start, it's a small step on a long road. We know obviously that William and Harry have still got a frosty relationship, and they didn't speak to each other publicly as recently as last month. I think there's an easier path for Harry to reconcile with his father. We know that King Charles feels less strongly about keeping Harry completely away from the royal family, as William is reported to feel like. So I think there's a long way to go, but never say never.
Indeed. Right, what are we talking about next, Svar? I can't remember the list.
Princess Kate's return.
Oh, yes, lots of royal news this week. Yes, the Princess of Wales, her first official work meeting has been recorded in the court circular since she started cancer treatment back in February. Of course, she's had meetings, well, we know since before Trooping. So Trooping the Colour happened in June, and we know that she had started working from home before that, having meetings with her communications secretaries or private secretaries, but those kind of meetings not recorded in the court circular. This one has been, and that's because it's an official work meeting. So presumably she had, yes, her official household team with her, but also perhaps some external staff from the Royal Foundation Centre for Early Childhood, because the meeting was at Windsor Castle, 5-minute drive or so from Adelaide Cottage, her home in Windsor, on the early years. So it looks like a very small positive step for her.
Yeah, this is promising, and the fact it's come so soon after the video announcement confirming that she's finished her chemotherapy treatment, and within that message she outlined the fact that she is hoping to do a few public engagements before the end of 2024. So I think this is the step in the right direction, and yeah, I think this is building up now to an actual public return. We've heard that Remembrance Sunday in November has been possibly earmarked as a return. It may come before that. If not, the carol service in December is also a potential return date. But I think that this is a sign now that Kate's readying up to make a return to public duties.
Yeah, and I would suggest that would be her wish, that she could perhaps carry out a public early childhood engagement, for example, before the end of the year. But Kensington Palace will be very careful to make sure that she isn't running before she can walk. And there is a big difference between travelling 5 minutes up the road to Windsor Castle for a private meeting away from cameras and the public, to having to travel potentially hundreds of miles to the other end of the country to attend a public engagement to do with early years. And we are getting the sense really still that she has good days and bad days with her health, but of course she has completed her course of preventative chemotherapy. And Prince William alluded to that only a couple of weeks ago, telling some well-wishers in South Wales that it's good news that the princess has clearly finished chemotherapy, but there is still a long way to go, suggesting she has good days and bad days. And what Kensington Palace doesn't want to do is confirm that the princess is going to be doing X engagement, for example, then she has to pull out last minute because she's having a bad day, and then the inevitable hysteria that would be, exploded online, that the princess has had to pull out last minute, is just not worth it. So if there is going to be an engagement, I suspect it's going to be announced very, very close to the time indeed.
Yeah, and we have seen that with the two public appearances Catherine has made this year. Trooping the Colour, the return at Trooping the Colour, I believe, was announced on the Thursday evening, and then she made the appearance on Saturday, and with Wimbledon it was confirmed on the Saturday morning, and then she made the appearance on the Sunday afternoon. So yeah, it's about 24 hours, 48 hours notice, and that's probably what's going to continue.
Yeah, and as you say, away from early years, we are expecting her to, well, she hopes to be able to attend the Remembrance Sunday service at the Cenotaph, and of course started planning for her Christmas carol concert. But we'll let the princess continue with her cancer journey and not put any unnecessary pressure on her to return. Today, as in Thursday the 19th of September, when this episode is published, is when Amazon releases the now infamous 3-part dramatisation of Emily Maitlis's infamous interview with Prince Andrew on BBC's Newsnight. The interview was asking Prince Andrew essentially 2 points. A, why did he stay friends with a convicted sex offender? That's the late Jeffrey Epstein. And B, did he or did he not sleep with Virginia Giuffre, who was at the time allegedly a 17-year-old girl. Prince Andrew has always denied the allegations made against him. But that interview, his answers were disastrous, and he was forced to step back as a working member of the royal family. And eventually, following the out-of-court settlement with Virginia Giuffre a few years later, he was stripped of his military titles and patronages. But all of this is going to be regurgitated in this 3-part drama, and it's going to be persuading Andrew to do the interview to start with. The second episode is the interview itself, and the third episode's the fallout. So yeah, tricky viewing for Prince Andrew.
Well, yeah, the interview at the time, it captivated the UK audience and also worldwide. It was stunning to see a member of the royal family in that position, and I think that's why both Netflix and Amazon Prime, two streaming giants, both rushed to buy the rights to, I think, Sam McAllister's book, and also landing Emily Maitlis to be the executive producer in Amazon's case. So there was a huge amount of interest in it. We saw Scoop from Netflix already dropped in April.
Emmy nominee.
Yeah, and it was well received. I think Amazon's, as you said, it's going to be slightly different. It's 3 episodes, assuming that they'll all be around an hour each, so it'll be different to Scoop, which was a film. But yeah, it shows the amount of interest that's there, and it's going to create a fresh headache for Prince Andrew, a fresh headache for the royal family, and also for his daughter, Princess Beatrice, because we know that she was portrayed in Scoop, and Sam McAllister revealed in her book that Beatrice played a role in actually organising the interview and came to one of the preparation sessions. And it's Beatrice's role is again going to be explored in this Amazon Prime documentary series.
Yeah, really difficult for Princess Beatrice, because of course the subject of the interview was whether or not her father slept with an underage girl. So really difficult territory for her to perhaps relive in this drama. And the other point is, and what Emily Maitlis has revealed in the last kind of week or so, she's been promoting this, and it will be portrayed in the Amazon series. It's something that a royal source told her at the time in the aftermath of the interview, and that was apparently that the then Prince Charles, now king of course, was not unhappy that the interview took place when it did, and he wasn't unhappy of how it played out and Prince Andrew's answers, because what Emily was basically suggesting is that because Charles was still a prince and therefore not king, it was the late Queen's problem to deal with in that immediate aftermath and the fallout. So instead of him having to deal with it as king, because the can had been kicked down the road with this Prince Andrew problem, because of course Prince Andrew's association with Jeffrey Epstein was public knowledge for around a decade or so, instead of kicking the can down the road until when he was king and the headache of him having to deal with it when he was king, it was actually his mother's problem to deal with it.
Yeah, and I can see that because the Queen, her authority was absolute. That once she made that decision, there would have been no way for Andrew to try and fight his corner and persuade her otherwise. And it's not that King Charles doesn't have that same authority, but we know that Andrew and Charles have a very frosty relationship. They've been feuding over the Royal Lodge now for years, and Andrew has still not agreed to downsize, and they remain at odds on that issue. So for Charles, that was probably another problem with Prince Andrew that was avoided because the Queen took decisive action at the time.
Yeah, and reportedly, according to many reports, the late Queen, her favourite son was Prince Andrew. So it must have been very hard for Queen Elizabeth II to deal with that, but she did. And now, of course, it's going to play out for the world to see yet again on a 3-part drama series on Amazon, which is released today. But on the Prince Andrew point and the relationship between him and his brother, the king, we do see that there is still some kind of relationship between the two of them in private Windsor moments. So, for example, he's allowed to walk publicly with the rest of the royal family to church on Christmas Day in Sandringham, and we also saw him at the memorial service for Prince William's godfather, King Constantine II of Greece, at Windsor Castle. I think that was in March or April time-ish, wasn't it? So we do occasionally see Prince Andrew crop up even, but in terms of official public roles, never going to happen. Well, that's it for another episode of The Royal Record here on GB News. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, you can keep in contact with us by using the email address royal@gbnews.uk or the hashtag GBN Royal Record.
And don't forget, you can keep up to date with all the latest royal news and analysis by going to gbnews.com/royal or by signing up to the Royal newsletter.
See you next time.
Goodbye.